There we go. Should be back in business now. Sorry about that, guys. Had a internet flub up. You guys still there? Ah, good. Okay. Life eternal. Alright, if you guys can hear me, go ahead and sound off. My internet crapped out of nowhere for some reason. Ah, hateful. Good to see you. Sorting stalkers from casual. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you sounding off as well. Yeah, Slideless, he was just too thick. Too thick to be contained. I'll probably have to make his head bigger, because that boy had a big old head. Ah, okay. I was wondering why you guys were posting F. I'm not all that familiar with video game culture, oddly enough, despite my general nerdery. Let's see here, I need to... How do I select Magic Wand? I'm gonna make him actually more thick if I can figure out how to do this tool right. That is not how to do the tool right. That is not how to do that tool right at all, and I should be ashamed of myself. Ah, polyline. Lasso, that's it. So why, Jeremy? What are you referring to? Why is it a cargo when it's carried by a ship, and why is it a shipment when it's carried by a car? Well, usually they're not even carried by cars. They're carried by semi-trucks, which operate off of shipping containers, hence why they're called shipments. Okay, I don't care for killing characters for shock value. I think that's something that creators do when they ran out of ideas. Oh, good. I keep forgetting. I've been really busy, Hateful. It's not that I haven't wanted to look at your drawing and give you my thoughts. It's just that I've been stuck in a different city most of the week. So by the time I've been done with work and just getting in here, it's been hard enough just to get into the calls that I had scheduled. I think the purpose that it's supposed to serve, Mijumaru, is to get people to understand, if it's a decent writer, that characters can die at any given time. But if you'll notice, a lot of them don't, especially if they're fan favorite characters, like really fan favorite characters, specifically because they know it's going to kill their ratings. I do Renaissance, but it's very boring. I have not set anything up in there very, very well, so it would not be a good place to be. Once my channel becomes a lot more established and I have more active people viewing. Probably after I hit 1,000K, I might be able to do something like that, but not until then. Got me a kill. I never even watched that one, to be honest with you. I know at round in about an hour or so when the stream's done, my wife and I will be going to see the Meg movie. Dragon Ball Z in general, I think, has issues because the writer never really knew what he wanted to do with it. I'm probably one of Dragon Ball's biggest detractors from Z onward. Make sure I save my progress. Oh, Lord. I'm tired of seeing that garbage in anime. Let's see here. Anyone see that sells at work anime? Oh, that one. No, I haven't. It is almost 8 o'clock here, Cadno. For a minute you confused me, Roan, because usually when somebody mentions cells in anime, they're referring to actual animation cells. I am, although, going to a convention next weekend here in Texas, and there's usually a vendor there who sells animation cells from different series. But I also have to be honest with you, Roan. I liked that show a lot better when it was called Ozzy and Drix. Please respect my my knowledge here, please. You're right, nobody liked that cartoon. Let me know if the music gets too loud for you guys. I have no way of really gauging it. Well, I appreciate that, Cat. No, I've never drawn slide before, so I'm trying to make sure I get this right if I can. I'm sure I'm gonna have some touching up to do. That's why I'm just going over it really rough right now. It also helps that I actually have the animation model sheets for the original show here too, so that's always a plus as well. Let's see, why isn't it replaying? Oh, there we go. Back to it. I want to reposition that ear. I don't like the way it looked. I have a friend of mine who does a lot of digital art, and he's really stepped up his game recently. My biggest issue, specifically with programs like this, is I'm kind of a caveman. So I know the thing is capable of giving me every result I could ever want, but I have no idea how to get it to do so. If I were to try to do what I wanted to in traditional media, I could do it without any issue. But programs are a little more difficult. Let's see here. What episode of the original Thundercats was the one with the strongest moral, and what episode do you think held up over the years the way it was told? I don't really think Thundercats had one specific episode with the strongest moral, because the way Thundercats dealt with morals is they didn't deal with it in a more abstract way like a lot of animation did at the time. It didn't sit you down after the episode and say, in today's episode we learned. No, it was taught within the series itself and within the episode itself, and it could be any myriad of things. It could be whether or not Snarf tells you, that you should tell somebody when something's really wrong, or that you're being lied to, or Jaga saying that an honest enemy is better than a false friend. It could be Jaga saying that a wise ruler has to take the bad with the good. First impressions are often wrong. It's a lot of different things. For me personally, I can't specifically set on one, but one that has stuck with me to at least some point, some major degree, I'd say would be Jaga's thoughts on killing in terms of wildlife and animals, and about better to have an honest enemy than a false friend. So hard, yes, caveman can do it. Well, the thing, Jeremy, is that art is subjective, as with most things, and some people are upset because the original She-Ra looked different, and they don't understand why the new one doesn't look exactly like that. And it's just the way it is. I think you I think you underestimate how much old school 80s cartoon fans really don't watch or pay attention to modern animation. And this is something that's happened to me several times, specifically on Facebook. I'll be talking to somebody like, I don't like any of these new cartoons, they're dumb. Okay, which ones are dumb? Which ones do you have a problem with? Oh, I don't know, I don't watch any new cartoons. Then how would you know you have a problem with it? Ah, Neko Boy, I just saw your comments. Rip, my dude, rip. Matter of fact, since Neko Boy's here, I'd like to comment that one of the character designs that changed the least in terms of Thundercats from the old series to the new one, there's a whole Slide here. Really the biggest change in design for Slide between the old show and the 2011 one was its color palette. The 3-episode rule. That can be good. Sometimes it makes me want to kill myself. Actually, no. You know what? It doesn't make me want to kill myself. It makes me want to commit homicide, not suicide. What's wrong with me? Oh, Jaga's design changed a lot, Neko Boy. If you actually look at them side by side, they're night and day designs. Ah, so tell me about your job, Jeremy. What's the haps, my dude? By the camera. Come on, chair. Nice. 20 hours overtime pay is good pay. Something a little bit different with the eye. Goodbye. Goodbye. Let's give him. What do you guys think? Maybe I should give him a little bit more of a Slithe look to him. Yes. Let's make this eye wider. Keep the same general shape on this one, however. Keep the one eye close. There we go. Congrats, Jeremy. Enjoy it while you're young, because when you get older, you're going to hate having to do all that. You know, we never did figure out, never were told in any of the source books what type of reptilian creature Slithe is based on. Literally up to speculation. There we go. I like how that's coming out a little better now. No, I'm not going to give him a glass eye. That's unnecessary. I do need to shrink this. Time to do more shrinking. Not that much. See. You know, they never also told us why they were called mutants. I think it was just something they used on the fly. Jackal Man is, well, he's a jackal person. All the other names are, well, they're pretty much easy to tell. Based on the type of creature they are. A monkey, and clearly a monkey. Jackalman's a jackal, Vultureman's a vulture, Rataro's a rat. Ah! What did you do? Bad Thomas. There we go. Ah, you can actually also find it on the iTunes store, Neko Boy. I actually have the physical copy somewhere. You won't, however, unfortunately find the original soundtrack anywhere because it's never been licensed to be put out. If you want to, Jeremy, you don't have to. It all depends mostly on your sensibilities. Most people have their tastes in cartoons, and Thundercats may very well not be your taste. And if not, that's fine. Neko Boy here is far more fond of the 2011 show. Rowan, my favorite genre of music is power metal. Unapologetic power metal. Well, you know, when you look at the UK comics, it's actually pretty interesting. Because you find out the mutants, basically from the time they showed up on their own world, all they really did was fight amongst themselves. Of course, the first episode of the original cartoon alludes to that as well in the uncut scenes. But the mutants themselves, apparently all they ever did was really quarrel with each other. They apparently, at some point in the comics, had their own mystical weapon called the Scimitar of the Slain. It got lost because they warred against each other and it got lost in some mountain. And no, Neko, it's really not surprising when you look at all the bad decisions they made. I think there might also be something concerning the rights of the original music. I'm not really sure. So, who wants to hear an interesting animation to live action connection concerning different shows? Sure, no problem. Alright, Cad, no, I'll tell you in just a moment. I want to make sure he gets the timing right here. I see it now. Number one right there. Well, Mijumaru, what you're going to want to do is, as much as I enjoyed the US Star comics, most of them are retellings of episodes. So you might want to go onto the UK version of eBay and pick up some of the UK comics. Rad. Okay, so, quick question. Who here is familiar with Power Rangers? Alright, so we got a lot of people familiar with Power Rangers. The music you're hearing right now, the He-Man She-Ra theme. Do you know who did the musical score for it? Okay, the people who did the musical scores for He-Man and She-Ra were Suki Levy and Haim Saban. Yep. Blow your minds on it, huh? A lot of these people are connected in their own little ways. Give him his little dorsal fins. You know, if Slides really wanted to do himself up pretty, he could probably do a really good Uncle Ruckus cosplay. No, Majiramu, don't speak that into existence. These comic companies are desperate for crossovers. They already did one with Power Rangers and Justice League out of freaking nowhere. Yes, what you're referring to is, actually it's 5 degrees of separation. Not even 6. 5 degrees of separation. That is a theory. And one that's, well, fairly substantial, I'd say, myself. Especially with all the random people I've met, good lord. Well, here's the funny thing about the original Thundercats audio bloopers, Neko, is I was at a small, very small Transformer convention after my first year living here in Texas. And one of the voice actors, his name is Wally Wingert. And for those of you who are fans of Invader Zim, he did one of the voices of one of the Tallists from that series. Said that because of the Thundercats bloopers, a lot of other blooper reels for animation don't get out. Apparently that's caused some tension in certain places. So the only places you'll hear them are like company Christmas parties and whatnot. Yes, the Batman Elmer Fudd one was fantastic. I like good crossovers, Majumaru. I really liked both, actually now all three, Ninja Turtle Batman crossovers. I thought they were fantastic, but DC has mishandled other things. I think the He-Man Thundercat crossover was an absolute abortion. I think that the current He-Man Injustice crossover is going to be terrible as well. Because they've shown me that they can't handle the He-Man property. It's going to be episode number 4, Jeremy. Ah, really? I didn't know he was Renji, Ron. You know, Ron, there's actually a connection between Thundercats and Bleach. What the is a Samoflange? Somoflange. I gotta do that again. Hey, Rowan, you want to hear the connection between Thundercats and Bleach? Okay, Jeremy, I would... They're not on YouTube. You're gonna have to either you get the DVDs or... Actually, you know what? I'll connect with you later. I can figure out to get you away. Roan, the person who directed, and I can't pronounce his name right now because I don't have it in front of me. It's a Japanese individual, of course, who directed the original Thundercats opening, was actually the art director for Bleach and Naruto. Jeremy, YouTube is very, very hateful towards most of trying to get WB stuff. I've met a lot of people that have done talks of Thundercats or even reviewing specific episodes that have gotten strikes on their channel because YouTube auto-tagged it. So that's why you're not going to see them on YouTube. Well, here's the thing, Catno. If you watch and this is the only thing I recommend you watching in Kill La Kill. There's a part of the opening where they're panning through the middle of the villains. And that's actually a direct reference to the opening of Thundercats because it was done by Studio Trigger, and they're big Western fans. So, Westaboos is what I think the word is for them now. And here's the kicker. Alright. Samoflange. You saw mentioned in the original cartoon. You heard it in the, the bloopers. It was mentioned in the 2011 cartoon. Did you know it was also mentioned in the 2016 Voltron? We don't talk about Kicker. I believe it's in the second season of Voltron 2016. It's an episode where John DiMaggio actually shows up. He's the Space Mall security guard. Also, just so I don't forget, because I always tend to, if any of you have any spare change you want to throw at me so I can try to go to Don Bluth's school, links in the description. Yes, it was referenced in the Mad Skit. A lot of things are referenced in Mad Skits. Gotta get that pinky out here. This slide is fancy. Slide is so fancy. You know, the funny thing is, there's actually an episode of Thundercats, I can't remember the name of the episode, where Slythe is complaining about the food they're eating. And he says that the slop is so bad, even a jackal wouldn't eat it. And the first part of the joke is we see Jackalman right across the table from him, and he's just scarfing it down. So we have a joke on that. And then Slythe says what the place needs is a woman's touch. And what happens when he says that is Monkian, out of all the mutants, Monkian side-eyes him, and under his breath calls him a chauvinistic reptile. That's always cracked me up. Roan, you have, man, dude, you've been a big help. Like, I can't thank you enough. Fantasy version of mythology is my favorite. You're talking about modern mythology, like you'd say a lot of these 80s cartoons fall into, or are we talking about classic mythology, like old school mythology? Real life mythology, not really sure what you mean. You're talking about like Norse theology? I'm not really a fan of Norse theology in the direct. I am in the abstract because I think it's ridiculous, but that's just me. But yes, yes, Eve. Monkian calls Slythe a chauvinistic reptile. It's great. Actually, I think real-life mythology may not be an oxymoron, because if we're talking about that... Thank you, Roan. It was Trouble with Time. I think the best real-life mythology is Florida Man. Ulysses 31, man, that theme song gets stuck in my head and it annoys the piss out of me. So that's why I don't put it on this playlist. Get that a little bit further down. I need to figure out what I want to do with that hand in his arm because that don't look right. It don't look right, tell you what. Bobby, it doesn't look right. Did this thing really stop and not recycle? It did. The darn thing did do it to me again. There we go. In the house, but we don't know yet. That might be heresy. Anime aficionado here. Do you think King of the Hill is one of the best animes ever made? Oh no! Poor Jeb Jan just walked into that like, no. Oh no! Oh no! If I was trying realistic pieces, I wouldn't be doing it digitally. If it's a realistic piece, I really prefer traditional media. And as far as getting into the art school itself, firstly, again, they've already cleared me based on the portfolio I have. And what they're teaching in this school isn't the basics of drawing, they're teaching you the basics of animation. Now, granted, they have a draftsman's class, which is going to be, you know, very, very beneficial to me, but it's not the main thing I'm concerned with down there. Let's see here. Life with Derek. I've never even heard of that. Alf. Alf is an amazing anime. I won't deny that. Golden Girls isn't even anime. Golden Girls is like god tier entertainment in general. And I'm kind of surprised that both The Amazing World of Gumball and Teen Titans Go have referenced them. It's kind of a really odd reference for children's entertainment. Like, that's dated. When was it on Disney Channel? Renaissance. Oh yeah. Mijimaru, the episode of The Amazing World of Gumball, Richard Watterson was dressing as one of the Golden Girls and meeting a bunch of other people dressed as Golden Girls as a secret meetup that none of them knew that the others were dressed up. And in Teen Titans Go, Cyborg had actually gotten a hold of the Green Lantern ring because they went on a mission to rescue the Justice League, and his attack was to make light constructs of the Golden Girls to beat on enemies. Well, I know other shows have referenced it, Patch, but it's just surprising to see it in, like, Teen Titans Go and Gumball, because it's a pretty dated reference. And these are mostly children's entertainment, and it's not something you see very often within children's entertainment. No, Jeremy, I didn't, because I was already an adult by the time Adult Swim became a thing. 2005 to 2009. Huh. Wonder why I missed it then. That's weird. Let's see here. So tell me, Jeremy, what is the deal? Golden Girls may very well be one of those things that's just in our American zeitgeist. I don't know. I feel I might be unqualified on that level. Hey Patch, what do you think of my my thick lizard boy? I think he's a thick lizard boy. I'll worry about that arm later. I need progress. Which is, you know, necessary to move forward. Shark vacuum commercials? That's interesting. Now, let's see here. When I was younger, I believe it was the years between 6th and 7th grade, or 7th and 8th, I can't remember which. I came downstairs during the summer one morning. It was 6:30. And I decided to watch TV because I was a teenager. What else do you do? And I got introduced to a show on USA's Action Extreme Train. And that show's name was Sailor Moon. And I fell in love with that show. Now, I lived in a very traditional, military, Christian household, as they say. My old man told me once, when I was younger, that if he ever thought, for even a moment, that I was gay, he would kill me, then kill himself, and send us both to hell. His words. So here I am, sneaking down every morning during the summer to watch Sailor Moon, a show I knew my old man would assume I was gay for watching. Because Sailor Moon was so good, I was willing to risk death over it. And it's still good. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. I remember that used to come on FX along with the old school 60s Batman when I was younger. Oddly enough, X-Men was not allowed in my household when I was younger. And that's because my mother was, of course, for the most part, the arbitrator of what we watched as children. And again, grew up in a very traditional Christian household. And unfortunately, the one episode my mother watched, the very one episode my mother watched to get a gauge on whether or not she wanted us to watch it, was the one where Apocalypse shows up and picks out his archangels. And Mom did not like any of that. Hyperforce Go? I've seen a couple episodes. Had a very catchy intro. A lot of nods to Super Robot shows at the time. Zoom on out of go. And for the record, my favorite Sailor Moon character is Sailor Mars, because she is the best, and I will fight any of you over that in a battle to the death. Oh boy, got some stumpy legs. Best girl, yes. What? What an odd assumption about X-Men. Now, the funny thing is, so my mother was often the arbitrator of what we did or did not watch when I was a child, but there was one instance, that my old man was the arbitrator of what we watched as children. And this one instance was the original Power Rangers. So here I am, a child, and I liked Power Rangers. I was invested in it. And the last thing I wanted was to not have to watch the show, so here I am watching this with my gruff, angry, hateful old man. And the episode that shows up is the episode of the Pudgy Pig. As I'm sure all of you remember that episode. Well, I'm watching my old man, and as he watches it, the man, I've never heard him do this since, but that man laughed harder than I've ever seen him laugh before. And his conclusion was that the Power Rangers TV show was so stupid and innocuous that it could not do us any harm, and therefore allowed us to watch it. No, Bryan Cranston was the voice of a couple of other villains, but he wasn't the pig. Now, granted, I wasn't too fond of what they did to David Yost on set, which we didn't hear about till much later, but nothing to discuss here right now, I'd imagine. Let's see here. The toe? You gotta have the toe. So yeah, you got a toe. Speaking of Bryan Cranston, I really, really did not like the new live-action movie. At all. I've seen every single live-action Transformers movie, and never once wanted to walk out of one, despite them being bad. I almost walked out of Power Rangers 4 times. I'm probably got to do a lot more work on Slide here, because I don't think his pose is as dynamic as I want it to be. Haruka awakened me. Awaken, awaken, Mr. Kraken, the lake troll. Yeah, old Slide here is gonna need some work done on him. Don't quite care for the pose he's in yet. I want it to be more dynamic. He's gotta look more like he's squatting down. Right now he just looks like he's sort of hunching over. But that'll have to happen later. Let's see. One moment. Oh. You know, the sad thing about the Transformers franchise in terms of the live-action movies, they had a lot of potential and just didn't meet any of it. If I could decry it for having any sin, I'd say it'd be that. Again, Maju, there's nothing wrong with you liking them, alright? And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If they do, slap them in the mouth. I wonder. So, any other questions for me going on tonight, ladies and gentlemen? I won't disagree with you on that one, Mijumaru. They are certainly Decepticon movies above everything else. They'll take away Slide's arms and reposition everything. So I like it better and hate myself less. My favorite of the Power Ranger shows? It would be SPD. Bar none. SPD. Favorite movie? That's harder. There's a lot of animated movies I'm very fond of. I can't really put any in a category, to be honest with you. Not like that. Dino Thunder was okay, but I really dislike Jason David Frank as a person. And I think he's the most overhyped character. They did to Slides what they did to Lieutenant Dan. He ain't getting his arms back. He's gonna be wiggling little stubs there. I need to make that thicker. What do you do? He screams, I can do it myself. I want to give him a more dynamic pose with his axe. I didn't really like the way it was going. He was way too scrunched in. And he's already, well, let's be honest, he's thick enough. He doesn't really need to do that. So, I think he's a little exaggerated here. Give him a longer axe to work with. Claws. Giving him arms. I don't like that either. Alright, I can fix it. Make it better, faster, thicker. No sword clashing, I just want to get them staged. Because moving from Ox into cutting an opponent who's dropping down like that would, well, it would get ugly, and I don't want to get too graphic here. Favorite Transformer character? That's going to vary from show to show for me. My favorite G1 character is Grimlock. I make no apologies. In Beast Wars, it's Dinobot, same as Roan. In Beast Machines, probably Cheetor. If not Megatron himself, because I actually found him very fascinating in that series. R.I.D., it would be Skybite. And everything else falls in from there. There we go. About dinosaurs. Yes, Wendy, in time, I will be doing a video about dinosaurs. It's just a very niche community about them there, dinosaurs. Make it a little darker so I can see it. More Than Meets the Eye. I do like Cyclonus in More Than Meets the Eye. But I feel like More Than Meets the Eye is kind of petered off. With everything going on, all these other events, the Combiner Wars. I think it's kind of jumped the shark at this point, which is why they're pulling the plug on it concerning IDW. Here's the fun thing, Wendy. The person who does Genghis Rex's voice in Dinosaurs is the same guy who does Braveheart the Lion and Care Bears. Purple bunny-eared Transformer. Yes, nobody let Cyclonus live down the bunny ears. Slyth is king of the dad bod. Be able to get a perspective on that axe, where it's going to look like it's aiming the right way. Stormhawks. Ooh. I remember Stormhawks. Dangerous bunny. This is why I like having you guys in here. You're great. Yes, we're talking about the IDW Transformers, Renaissance. Dwarves with tails. Are you sure you're not thinking about David the Gnome? Ooh, Darkheart. That was an interesting character. Nothing like having a kid that's Satan. Monty Python Bunny. Yeah, that IDW's made some really poor decisions. They used to be a lot better. I mean, I'm honestly enjoying less of their stuff over the board. We're talking about David the Gnome, not Dave the Barbarian, though that is a good show. Even if David the Gnome ended in a manner that made people cry. And Dave the Barbarian, well, it ended and made people cry. The voices, they speak to me. Dark dreams. You can play it! Cruel irony. No thumbs. You know, you say everything dies out eventually, but there are shows that have been going on a long time and have yet to die out. There's the longest ongoing cartoon actually belongs to the Japanese, and it's a name I can't even begin to pronounce, but it's been going on since, I think, the 70s. Ongoing, every episode, day to day, only having, I think, 1 or 2 pauses in production. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. When I'm talking about me being a barbarian, by the way, it's like you see that or a caveman, you see I'm erasing everything by hand. I'm sure there's a way to do it quicker. I'm sure there is. But I don't know it. And thank you. I hope he's going to be looking a lot better by the next stream next week. Yeah, I'm not too fond of what they've done with the legacy of Transformers Prime. I'll agree with that one without question. The Conan animated series, I do remember Kendo. Conan, the adventurer. Conan, man of bravery. And then it got to his giant phoenix, and I had to tap out. It's like, no, I'm not doing this. Not today. Not any day. The Littles! Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I, too, remember the Littles. Give him a big old thick leg. Big old thick stubby other leg. Point his big old toe. My wife is a histology technician. She is a scientist. You message me. Here. Yes. Cool, neat, nice. I think the same things, but I really don't know what it's about. I know it's something to do with looking at cellular structures and all that. Well, anywho, I need to... Oh, I collect a lot of action figures. I collect Transformers, Thundercats, Batman the Animated Series, your occasional Ninja Turtles, and whatever else may catch my eye. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and close this stream out in a couple minutes. But I'm going to answer some questions before I do, so when my mom doesn't talk about me. I am not a topic of discussion. It depends on what you mean by anime figures, Mijumaru, because if you're talking about figures that were in anime, I've got like a Gundam model kit backlog of 200 plus model kits. And I also have a whole bunch of Sailor Moon figure arts. What's the reason you go into a fight, physical and verbal? Verbal, if I disagree with somebody. Physical, if they're dumb enough to put their hands on me first, or they do something that would require me to put my hands on them. Like if somebody breaks in my house, I'm going to cut their head off. Or I'm going to Zornhau into their clavicle and into their chest cavity. And they get to bleed out, gurgling on their own intestinal fluids. That counts. Thank you, Mijumaru. I'm glad that I'm glad we can agree on that. For fun things, whenever somebody asks me what my wife's hobbies are, I like to tease and tell them it's reading books and watching anime that she cries over. I just told you, what has gotten me into fights is the same thing that gets me into fights. A disagreement verbally, somebody being wrong, or somebody being dumb enough to put their hands on me, or be in a place they're not supposed to that belongs to me. Alright, any other questions here? If there was one show that could be recreated today that stays faithful to it, what? I'd say the shows that have stayed pretty faithful would be stuff like DuckTales. My wife doesn't cry over comic books because it's something I've yet to have to get her into, but she will cry over manga. She cried at the end of the first season of Sailor Moon too, by the way. Took me a while to convince her to watch it. When a BuzzFeed, you see, the thing is, I don't pay attention to BuzzFeed unless it's a puppy or kitty video, so I don't know. Usually I just leave those clowns to their own devices. Avocado. Who mentioned avocados? Per se, feel free to. I've never mistaken a news outlet for fruit. No, I do not like drinking water. Water likes being drank by me. You're really happy that I'm happy? I never said I was happy. I could be a tormented soul. Well, I'm not. I'm an angry one. Alright, so I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you all again for joining me. I don't think there's going to be any other live streams next week than this one on Friday, so I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I should have a new video up here pretty soon. You guys take care.